Hey guys, Flourish here. I am a lover. I make love. I master my erotic energy. I am passionate. Sexual energy flows through me. Sexual energy flows through me. So, I want to start off with this video by expressing that I think the teachings around sensuality, sexuality are a bit warped. It's a bit warped. Even in 2022, I think that as parents and adults, we need to be honest and transparent with our children when it comes to sexuality and sensuality. I think that is why a lot of children and young adults are out here walking around and they don't really understand what sex is all about. And that is because, excuse me, they feel uncomfortable going to their parents in regards to the conversation revolving sexuality, sexual desires, and all of those things. I think that it's very awkward, it's very uncomfortable, and that is because of the relationship as parents that we have, had with our children. I watched a video this morning where the singer Ciara, she has a new song. It's very sexual. It's very sensual. I actually like the song. I love the way you make a thing jump. So her son comes to her. He's 8 years old, and he's like, "Mommy, in your new song, what do you mean by that thing? What do you mean by that thing? I love the way you make that thing jump." And she starts to record, and she asks him to repeat his question that he asked her, and she flat out lies to him. He said, "What do you mean by you make that thing jump?" And her response to him was, "Well, when I say that thing can be cars, that thing can be people. But why do we have to lie?" I know he's 8 years old, so you don't want to share the real vulgar definition, but you also don't want to be dishonest. Why is it that we tell our children that we don't like to be lied to, but then we lie to them? Don't you think that's kind of lopsided? Yes, I do. So, in my opinion, if your child is old enough to come to you and ask a question, they're old enough to receive an honest answer. It's all in your way of how you want to communicate that answer, but I think that the answer should be answered as honest as possible. So I'm going to give you an example. I don't have an 8-year-old right now, but I do have a 10-year-old, and he definitely has come to me and asked me sensual and sexual questions, and I have been as transparent as possible. So if my 10-year-old was to come to me and ask me, "Mommy, when Ciara's singing that song, I love the way you make that thing jump, what does she mean by that?" I would have been 100% honest with him. I would have told him she's talking about her private part. And as an adult, she's talking about her private part because she can have those type of talks and those feelings. And guess what? You can have those feelings too, and you don't have to feel guilty about it, because that's a big misconception in our communities. We have children that sometimes they're a little bit, explorative. You know what I mean? We have social media. We have the internet. We have children that are raised in different homes, and they're raised differently than each other. So I believe that we are creating issues within our own households by lying to our children, because what you're not telling your child, somebody else might be telling their child, or their child might be exposed to these things. So by us not sharing correct information with our children, we're allowing friends and other peers to share information with them that may not be accurate. They could be making up things. They could have Googled something, and now they think they know the definition, and they're breaking things down to your child that you may not want your child to know, but now they know, and they came to you first and you lied to them. So today we're going to be asking the cards, how can we go about expressing and exploring sensuality, sexuality with our children without, feeling uncomfortable, without making them feel uncomfortable? And also, how can we teach sexuality within the household to children without making them feel guilty? Because that's another thing I will say on my behalf. Sacral chakra is a big part of sexuality and sensuality, and we can cause blockages in our children, in our sons and in our daughters. And I will say on my behalf, I have been guilty of causing probably some of those blockages with my children, because talking about sexuality, you try to, like, oh, it's not good, you can have babies, there's diseases. Instead of being honest and saying, yes, it's pleasurable, yes, it's something that's enjoyable, but these are some of the pros and cons. You could break it down like that: pros and cons. Don't try to make it seem like it's just all bad, because if it was all bad, none of us would be here on earth, because we wouldn't be reproducing, because sex would be horrible and nobody would be having it. But we are selling a false narrative to these children because we haven't been comfortable with expressing these things to our children. When we reproduce our children, we're laying down to reproduce them, and we need to figure out ways as parents to communicate the pros and cons of sex, sexuality, sensuality, and we need to have them have a better understanding, because maybe if they had a better understanding, they would, be more mature, more equipped on how to handle it moving forward, and they wouldn't be afraid to come and talk to us. We would probably have more insight of what's going on within their lives and within their relationships, and we can kind of help guide them in a better way than, some of our children out there are out there just loose, running free, and don't understand, and mixing and matching and giving up their sexual energy when they don't need to. So instead of being uncomfortable, you could be uncomfortable, but you need to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, so you can have these conversations with your children so they can be mentally equipped, mature, and have a better understanding of sexuality, sensuality, and desires. They don't need to feel guilty. You don't need to be making them feel guilty, because we all know that this is how it goes. This is natural. This is a natural way of life. You know what I mean? So instead of being uncomfortable, let's get comfortable and have these uncomfortable situations, no matter the age. You can make conversations age appropriate. It's all in the way that you communicate these things. I'm not saying you have to say, oh, you don't have to get vulgar with an 8-year-old, but you need to be honest, and you need not lie to your child, because you do not want your child lying to you. So let's give and receive that same energy. You get what I'm saying? Karma goes in all different ways and aspects, because now if that 8-year-old in 4 years starts to do things and lie to you, you're going to be feeling some type of way. But in all reality, you don't have a right to, because you lied. So let's get into it. Divine, please express, how can we have comfortable conversations with our children revolving around, sexual desires, sexuality, and sensuality? How can we break it down to these children that it's all a part of nature, and we can break down the positive and negative aspects in a way that they can better understand? Okay, boom, bow. Cosmic power. Cosmic power, yin and yang. When I see this card, I think yin and yang. So we need to help them to understand that sex is not just an activity. Because we're living in a world now where sex is really like an activity. You're bored and people are just having sex because they're bored. It's just something to do. We need to let them to understand that sex is a somewhat of a union. I know that sex is not a relationship. It doesn't guarantee a relationship. We all know that as adults. But it is a union because we need to express to them that when having sex, that's a transfer of sexual energy. That's a transfer of emotions. That's a transfer of spirituality. So, and you guys know what I mean, but I'm going to break it down. We need to explain to these children that when you're having sex, it's not just it's a good feeling. There's negative aspects that come to sex. We know that having sex that's unprotected, it can come with diseases. Yes, we know that having sex unprotected, you can reproduce a child. Yes, but there's another aspect of sex that people don't understand. It's a transfer of energy and frequencies as well. So let's just say a man and a woman have sex, and this man is a very positive person, very full of life, happy, a go-getter, things of that nature. And then he has sex with someone that's very negative. Nothing works out for her. She's very irresponsible. She's always in this dark cloud. She's depressive. And they have sex. That's a transfer of energy. She may pull some of his energy of being a go-getter, being a positive person, being a joyful and happy person, and he may pull some of her negative, depressive, sad, dark cloud, dark energy within him spiritually. I don't know how many of you know that, but it definitely happens. You can do the research and look it up. So that's one way that we can explain to our children. We need to understand that it's a union, yes. It can be pleasurable, yes. But there are other aspects of it. So let's let them know that we need to be vetting the people that we choose to, how can I say, that we choose to have these intimate relationships with, because transfer of energy and frequencies is a very real and valid thing. That's one way. Yes, Divine, come through. Divine, what are some other messages that we can give to our youth to help them to get a better understanding in a positive aspect, not only negative, in regards to sexual energy, sexual desires? Okay. So as soon as I saw the card, I thought about a rebirth, not so much as a production, but we also need to allow them to know that when having sex, you're going to be grieving your innocence and your purity. What I mean by that is you lose we all know you lose a little bit of yourself. You lose your childlike aspect, because now you're opening up to a realm of adulthood. Now there's a sense of yourself that you kind of come into adulthood before you should. And that goes along with losing your innocence. You gain something else. You gain your womanhood, or you gain your manhood. But sometimes some of us are not ready for that yet. Some of us are not mentally equipped to be losing our virginity, because we're just not in an emotional state of mind to do so as of yet. Some of us just think, oh, this is fun. That's going to be something that, oh, now I'm grown. But no, you're not grown yet, because if you have conversations with some of these young people and you actually talk to them and hear, you just have these conversations and you hear what they say, they're really lost. They don't have any type of understanding. So that's why we need to have an understanding and let them know that what are you losing? You're gaining something, but you're losing something else. So you will be in a grieving process and not understand why. Some people have sex because the other partner is, kind of, I'm not going to use the word bullying, but it is kind of like a bullying, because it's like, oh, I want this and I like you, you like me, so why don't we go ahead and do this? We need to let them understand those aspects too. So for me, with this card, I feel like it has to do with emotions. We need to let them know sometimes they're not even emotionally mature enough to be open up those doors. Divine, what other messages do you have for these parents and these people? Maybe some of you aren't parents. Maybe your godparents. Maybe your aunts and uncles. You know, like I said in my previous video, it takes a village. It takes a village. So if the child is not comfortable with coming to you, if the child is not comfortable with coming to you, they need to have somebody to go to. All right. Boom. Speak up. Speak up. So like I just said about the village, this card couldn't be more, it couldn't be more explanatory about that. Listen, speak up. We need to teach our children that it's okay, and it's okay to be having these desires, that it's natural, that it's all right. Don't make them embarrassed of it. Don't make them ashamed to have these conversations or to talk about it. And if they are not comfortable, because guess what? It might be a thing like, Mom, Dad, please, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to talk about that with you. Understandable, but you need to let them know they need to talk to someone with experience. Their friends may have experience because they're doing it, doesn't mean that they're mentally equipped, and doesn't mean that they're giving them the right definitions, they're giving them the right understanding and communication about it. Because you and I both know, if you're a parent and your child is old enough to possibly be going there, you know that you have way more experience than their friend will ever have. Your sister, your mother, your cousin, your best friend, somebody else has way more experience than their friend would have. So we need to help them to understand that it's okay to talk about it. There's nothing wrong with it. They don't have to be ashamed of it. They need to be knowing of it and understanding of it and get a deeper understanding of it. And even, I'm going to say, let's do some research, y'all. Let's send these children some sites to go look at. Let's go and get books for them to read. You know, let's ask the real serious questions so we can get a better understanding of how they're thinking and how they're feeling. It's better to talk to them about it than to have them outside talking to somebody else about it. You feel me? So I'm gonna say, Ciara, talk to that 8-year-old boy that's asking what that thing is thinging, that thing doing, what do that thing mean? Because you don't want him to go talk to some friend or foe about, what did do you know? Because my mom wasn't keeping it real with me. She didn't tell me. Do you know what does she mean by, I love the way you make that thing jump? Yeah, I don't want my kid going to ask nobody. I want him to come and ask me. Okay. Rage. Right off the bat, when I thought about this, I thought about those parents that are going to get upset, angry, and frustrated that their children are even thinking or talking about this. We need to understand, as our children get older, they are transforming into adults. We are giving our children to help guide and to help them to understand this life. You know, we're a guiding force. We don't own these children. These children are not our property. They're going to get older. They're going to do all the things that we did and even more. You know what I mean? Me personally, I'm not a jealous person. There's some people out there that's jealous of their children. I'm not a jealous person. I have an understanding that I want my children to be better than me. That's what I want. I want them to be better than me, smarter than me, more mature than me, quick learners, you know, learning faster than me. I want them, maybe I was here at 14, maybe I was here at 14. I want my kids to be here at 14. So we need to have an understanding and control our emotions when it comes to our children growing up and getting to an age of new developments and new transformations and new, how can you say, aspects of their lives. You know, we have productive years, we have harvest years, we have all these different stages in our lives, and we need to respect and understand when our children are at those stages. And as uncomfortable as it may be to have these conversations, and trust me, I know that it may be uncomfortable, we still have to have these conversations because we don't want these children roaming the world lost without understanding, because their parents just couldn't, overcome the fact that their child is growing, maturing, having desires that they don't want to think about. It doesn't matter what you want. The world is still going to keep moving. We're still going to keep progressing. Children are still going to keep on transforming. They're still going to keep on aging. So we need to get out of that mindset of being frustrated and angry because our children are having desires. It doesn't matter what age it is. Don't tell me, oh, they too young. No, you listen, when that thing starts thanging, there's nothing that you can do. When that thing starts stinging, and you know what I'm talking about, and Ciara knows what I'm talking about. When it starts stinging, you cannot control that. So if your child comes to you, or even if you having inclinations or downloads that's telling you that that's where they're at, you need to process it, get equipped, do the research, and have these conversations. Even if you don't know where to start, buy a book. There's so many books out there. I have a book. I wish I knew the name by heart. Let me see, because I can share it with you. I still got that song in my head. I love it when you see that Jimmy jump. It's still in my head. One of them is, it's perfectly normal. It's Changing Bodies, Growing Up, Sex and Sexual Health by, Roby H. Harris and Michael Imberly. That's one book, and they have so many of them. That one is on Amazon. Let's ask one more question, Divine. Any more clarity on how can we talk to these children, not be selfish and put in our own feelings and emotions into it. Really be true and honest of where they're at, and set those intentions. You want your children to be comfortable in the skin they're in. You really do. You really, really do. Dang, I just saw a card. Where did it go? There it goes. Oh, yes, come through with these messages. Listen, sacred lust. We were born naked. These are our bodies. We need to teach these children there's nothing to be ashamed about your natural body and the feelings that you're feeling. We have to get comfortable with ourselves so that we can help to raise these children to be comfortable with themselves, to guide these children to be comfortable with themselves. Men, we need to talk to our son about the sacral chakra. There's different programs that you can go out there and you can get. One of them is Alchemy at Earth. Alchemy at Earth has a whole chakra guidance program, and yes, it's expensive, but it will be worth it, because you can use it for yourself, you can use it for your children, and you can share it with family members. I say a bunch of you guys can buy the package and use it, because it's very imminent in our lives. Sacred lust. Women, we need to be talking to our daughters about their sacral chakra and letting them feel comfortable with their sensuality, their sexuality, and get a better understanding of themselves and what that means for them. Do you know that within your sacral chakra, which I have a sacral chakra video already, that has a lot to do with our creativity. Now, if your sacral chakra is blocked, your confidence is blocked, your creativity is blocked. So let's get into it. Let's have these deep conversations. Men, if you're a single father and you have daughters, it doesn't matter. Get into those uncomfortable conversations, because you don't want her to be having uncomfortable conversations with the opposite sex. And you and I both know there are some guys out there that they're for the girl and they really do like them, but there's some guys out there that they only want one thing. So men and women, do you want your children out there, being persuaded to do something against their will just because they like a person and they want the person to like them back? No, we don't. Ciara, do you want your 8-year-old out there talking to somebody that may be giving him information that you don't want him to have? No. All the Ciara moms in the world, stop lying to your kids about sexuality. It's a natural thing. It is okay to have these conversations. I talk to my children about sex when the questions are asked. I talk to them about sex when they're not asked, because I know that these children go through puberty at several different ages. We cannot just go by studies of books, because those books can be generalized, but they're not individualized. You cannot do research for millions and billions of people on the earth, because everyone's body's different, everyone's mind is different, everyone's mentality is different, everyone is, how can you say, what's the word I'm looking for? Everyone is exposed to things at different ages. So we have to stop with the keeping ourselves in a box. We need to open up Pandora's box and teach our children and communicate, so that we could get ahead of this thing. We can get ahead of this thing. So remember, teach our children about yin and yang. Teach our children about the cosmic power, about the transfer of energy when you are, sexual. Teach them about the pros and the cons of sexuality and sensuality. Allow them to know that they will be grieving their innocence, but it is okay. It's a part of life. It's a part of the life cycle. Express to them that they can communicate with you, or tell them the trusted people that they can communicate within your circle. Parents, get over the rage and the anger about your child being at that point in life that they're ready to have these conversations or having these desires. Parents, express and explain to your child that sexuality and sensuality is nothing to be guilty about. Peace, y'all. Have a blessed day, and I hope this message resonated with you. I love you, and I just wanted to be real and transparent. Have a good day.